Hey folks, this time around I'm going to review a DVD that I have been looking at, which is this one right here. It's called OneLight Workshop by Zack, Arias, a photographer from the Atlanta area. And I got to tell you right off the bat, this is a very, very good DVD. The whole concept of this, as the name suggests, is shooting using one light, whether that's a small strobe like a speed light, or a slightly bigger flash, or even a strobe like he uses an Alien Bees strobe as an example. And really the way this DVD is set up is very interesting. It's two discs. The first disc is kind of the introduction education part. And I hate to call it a lecture, but it's kind of like a lecture where he's discussing things like exposure and shutter speed and flash to subject distance and ISO and all those good things. And it's very informative and very well done, very easy to understand with some examples. And as he's doing this in the first disc, he goes into some demonstrations where he shows some simple ideas of using flash and bouncing it off walls and things of that nature. Now, if you've looked at other things like Joe McNally's class on Kelby Online Training, some of this you probably have seen before, but it's always good to get a different kind of view as to how things are done. And one of the things that I really like about Zack's teaching style is he's basically just saying what he's doing, and he's just trying things and experimenting, and you're going along with him. The production value, by the way, it says on his website that it took like 8 months of production, and it's very obvious. You can see they did a really good job. The production is very high. It feels very professional, but at the same time it doesn't feel scripted. In fact, there are moments where you can tell it's not scripted just by the things he says and the reaction he has to certain things. One of the things I love about his style, by the way, is he's not afraid to experiment and show you the results. So he'll take a shot and say, I'm just going to go over here and see what this looks like, and then admit that it doesn't look great. But it's kind of interesting to see his thought process and how he goes about doing things. In the second disc, you're basically following along as he goes on some client shoots, which is very interesting because you're literally along for the ride as he sets up a shoot, and even when he gets asked by the security guards to leave. So it's kind of really like being there, and you get to see the whole thing. And again, it's kind of like he's giving a brain dump as he's shooting. He's talking out loud, even though it's really not supposed to be the educational part. The first disc is the basics. He really is still going through what settings he's using and kind of what he's thinking as he's doing it. It's over 4 hours of training between the two discs, and there's even a little section at the end where he talks about his Lightroom workflow, although I wouldn't get it for that. He admits himself he's not a Lightroom expert, but he's just showing how he works in Lightroom, so it's still kind of interesting to see. Now you also get in the DVD this nice little booklet, and one of the interesting things I really liked about this, because I often see people taking shots but then you don't see the end result. Well, here he actually includes in this little booklet the shots that you see him take. And again, the nice thing is he'll set up a shot and then he'll take one with one shutter speed, then he'll change the shutter speed, and you'll see each one in a row so you can kind of see the results. Now, if I had any beefs about it, they're fairly minor. The first one is that if you don't know anything about Zack Arias as a photographer, you really wouldn't know any more by watching this DVD, because he appears to be a very humble guy. He doesn't really introduce himself at all. He just starts right in, which is fine, but it would be also nice for him to talk a little bit about his background, but I guess on the other hand you could find that out on his blog, so that's okay. The only other thing that, then this is again kind of a minor thing, but it's called OneLight. The problem is it's not always the same OneLight. So in some cases he uses a speed light, and then he'll look at the situation and say, in this case I might use this quantum flash, in this case I might use the Alien Bees flash. And that's understandable, but if you don't have one of those, like a strobe with a grid, you might not be able to get the same results. On the other hand, he does try as much as possible to use very affordable, accessible equipment, including, he even talks about some of the speed lights that he bought on eBay a few years ago and things of that nature. So again, that was just kind of a minor thing, but the most important thing to me is it really opened my eyes to some great possibilities. Got some really interesting shots of how he lit things. Again, just using one light. Particularly, he's in a tunnel with a singer. It's very cool. So I highly recommend it. I give it the old 2 thumbs up. I would suggest you take a look at it. And I do understand that his first run is sold out, but if you go to his website, which I've indicated down here in the blog, then you can go and find out more information. It's $225 for over 4 hours of training, which I think is very good value, and you get a bonus t-shirt and some stickers. So it's well worth taking a look at. OneLight Workshop by Zack Arias. Check it out. I'm Dave Cross. See you next time.